Hello and welcome. I am NBG and this is my look at Dragonflight Beta. We're going through some of the professions. If you want a more deep dive look into what some of the stats mean and kind of those kind of thoughts, look at the first video regarding the Dragonflight Beta on jewel crafting. That's where I kind of took a lot more time in going into a little bit more detail. I don't plan on doing that today. I plan on making this a little bit more of a quick dive into tailoring is the one that I have picked today. But if you know me, my videos tend to be a little bit long anyway, so I will try to get through this as quickly as I can. But without further ado, let's get started. So I have gone ahead and I have already picked up tailoring. You can see that you also get this passive here for you are particularly skilled at scavenging cloth from humanoids, so you know, I read that as if you're a tailor, you're going to gain more cloth as you kill humanoids rather than somebody who's not. That's how I take that. And other than that, I just quickly grabbed a little bit of the cloth. You have 5 different cloths, it looks like, at least initially. Maybe there's more, I don't know. These are just the ones I immediately saw. But you have tattered wild cloth. This seems to be a cloth that comes from basically all humanoids. And then you have a decayed version, a frostbitten, and a singed version. So like, again, a decay, a cold or frost, or like a fire version that seems to come from those specific types of humanoids. And then you also have what is called a wilder cloth, and this specifies that it's the most powerful and rare humanoids, so I'm guessing elites and other rares, I'm guessing, is what you would get this from. But these are the 5 cloths that I saw. Looking at the start of the profession, keep a few things in mind. The yellow plus skill is telling you that you're going to have a high chance of gaining a skill point from doing so, and this plus skill is letting you know that you can gain skill levels from it. And then when you go down here to the, let's see, first time craft bonus, remember that first time craft bonus is arguably the most important thing, because anytime you get a first time craft bonus, that's what's getting you your Dragon Isles knowledge, and that's what's giving you the points for specialization. So it doesn't matter what profession you are, focus on those first time crafts, make sure you make everything once, and that's what's going to give you the skill points needed to put into your skill tree. So with that, let's go ahead and go back. I'm going to do some of this unraveling. I don't know how much I'm going to do. I don't know, maybe I'll do maybe just 10 of each. Let's see here. I'll do 10 of each, and I'm going to unravel this and see if I get anything. And I'm going to do that for each one of these, and we'll meet up at the end. So I did 10 unravels of each of the cloths. The beginning cloths were really not giving me much. I hit like 1 extra of 2 for that first cloth, and then as we went on, I would maybe gain a couple more procs of additional, but not a whole lot. These first cloths all gave about the same. Can I move that up? I can't. I can move this down though, can't I? No, I can't. Cool. Either way, all of these cloths were about the same. However, when I got to wilder cloth, or the one that looks like it comes from rares, those were by far giving me more spools, and it wasn't even close. As you saw, at most I got 2 from the other stuff, but mostly 1, and this was like 4, 3, 4, 5. Like it was giving me a lot the majority of the time. So that's the first thing I notice. And secondly, doing the unravel will get you to level 10 of the Dragon Isles tailoring. Our goal now is, oh, that's okay. So the bandage requires 2 wilder cloth, which is interesting because that seems to be the more rare cloth, which would then, let's see, which just means that the bandage would cost a little bit more than you would expect. But how many people really use bandages anymore? I don't know. I used to use them a ton back in the day. Looks like I got an inspiration bonus, but not enough to proc to another tier. Oh wait, it's done. So that got us up to 15. Let's go learn some new stuff at the vendor. Alright, here we are actually taking a look at some of the crafting that we can do. So, some interesting things. First of all, you can make wilder cloth bolts. These are specifically with that rarer, I guess, wilder cloth. Let's go ahead and make a few of these as I'm talking. Let's just make some of those. And as we're making those to get some skill levels, I will also take a look at some of the garments that you can make. Immediately, there's a robe, treads, bands, so that would be, bracers, boots, and a, chest piece. And these require, not just do they require some of the wilder cloth, but they also require some of the spools that you get from breaking down the material. So far, I've seen that wilder cloth is just much more valuable because not just can you use it to gain spools of wilder thread, whatever the hell it's called, a lot faster, but it's also needed for the actual crafting of the item as well. So far, this is immediately a lot quicker than doing jewel crafting. It's not even close. Let's see, what is this? This is an accessory, tailoring accessory, so you can make your own inspiration and multi-craft. Let's just go ahead and make it. It'll also give us that first bonus. Let's bind that to me and just go ahead and put it on. And what else do we got? We have a bag as well, a Regent bag. Reagent, however you want to say it. Yeah, either way. So you have a 32 slot as your first one. That requires 4 spools of the wilder thread, which is not a whole lot. And then 8 of the wilder cloth bolts, which, that's 24 of the wilder cloth, which might be actually kind of a decent amount. And that's for that first bag. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and get... Oh, actually, I am 25, aren't I? I am 25, so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these different masteries or different specs that you can do. The first spec that we're going to take a look at is the General Tailoring Mastery. Here, just kind of like jewel crafting, it looks like that first point is all about just general skill in the specialization, and then as you're leveling it, it looks like you're going to get additional skill in crafting tailoring goods. Now you can do a sub-spec, which would be one of these, skill, another sub-spec, skill, and then of course each point gives you skill. So we all know that the skill is the primary thing that is required to make something from one tier to another. It's most arguably the most important stat in general. But let's take a look at some of the other things we can do. We have cloth collection here. Learn to collect cloth from humanoids more effectively, gaining increased chance for cloth to drop in Dragon Isles by 1% per point in this specialization. So that screams to me that it's pretty strong in general. I mean, because that means you can get additional, I guess, 50% increase. So you're already going to get more cloth per, by the way that I see the passive. And this would give you more chances at getting cloth, which seems to be pretty good. And this says, learn to sometimes collect particularly damaged forms of wilder cloth for use in unraveling. Okay, so that's, if it's used in unraveling, that's going to help you come up with the thread a lot easier, so you're not going to have to use the wilder cloth, is what that looks like. So this seems to be overall pretty good. I would say if you're playing this as a main character, my immediate thought is getting at least where you have this unlocked is probably a pretty good option, because you're going to get skill along the way, and then you're going to get the chance to get the cloth pieces that can be broken down easier, so you don't have to use your wilder cloth, and you're going to get a little bit more cloth in general. That's more of a main character kind of option, in my opinion. If you're somebody like me who's more than likely going to have your tailor sitting on the sidelines just crafting, that's probably not the direction I'll go. But anyway, I'll talk about that all in the end. That's just initial thoughts. We have sparring sewing. Use your materials sparingly, gaining 1 resourcefulness per point in this specialization. I'm not a big fan of resourcefulness. Granted, when it comes to endgame, I do think resourcefulness is going to be pretty good, because most other things aren't going to be as good, like inspiration. But in general, I would not be going for this early. And then over here we have shrewd stitchery. We have become become meticulous in your stitchery, gaining plus inspiration in this. And this is basically just your, well, it's your inspiration. Again, inspiration very good early, inspiration not good once you can actually craft the stuff. It is going to be good for a very long time, though, in my opinion. It really is. And that's our first look. Let's go to textiles. Textiles is, let's see, improve in the more specialized aspects of tailoring, including the creation of various reagents and specialty items, gaining +1 skill per point in this specialization. So I would need to see or know what some of these various specialty items are, and it's also going to give you inspiration when you craft those. Here, spinning, become an expert in unraveling cloth and spinning various threads, gaining +1 skill in this specialization. Learn to occasionally extract rousing elements from certain types of wielded cloth during the unraveling process. So, hey, that's going to help you gain more of those elementals, right? The rousing and all those kind of things that we looked at. So you're going to be able to gain stuff kind of for free as you unravel. That could be okay. It is rousing specifically. It really depends on how much. Weaving, become the expert in weaving the bolts, gain additional skill. It's going to help you multi-craft on bolts, +20 to multi-craft when weaving into bolts just from unlocking. Does it say other? Inspiration, multi-craft, 40 multi-craft, 10 inspiration, and more multi-craft. So there's an awful lot of multi-craft here for hopefully making a lot more bolts than what you would normally be able to do. That's kind of cool. And embroidery, become the expert in embroidering both simple items such as polishing cloth. So polishing cloth is like the stuff that is used for, like you use it in your crafting process, and that would give you like additional skill towards crafting that item. It's a secondary reagent to use to gain skill. And honestly, a lot of people are probably going to use it. Especially, that's probably something that I'm guessing is going to be sold quite heavily on the auction house, because you're going to be the one who's able to make that kind of stuff and other people are not going to be able to. So you can sell this secondary thing so that all the other crafters that can take advantage of it can then use that to gain additional skills so that they can hit their tier 2s and tier 3s. So that's an interesting idea, actually, into just gaining, yeah. That's an interesting one. Let's go to Draconic Needlework. This is source the magic of the Dragon Isles to craft exceptional clothware with reagents such as Azureweave and Chrono Cloth. Don't know what those are yet. Gaining + skill per point in this specialization. And what else is here? Inspiration, resourcefulness. Learn to use special finishing reagents. Oh, when you craft those items. Okay. And then what do we have? We have Azure Tailoring, so it's skill for the Azure stuff. On unlocking this, you can now make Azure bolts. I don't know what those are used for yet. This one is more Azure weaving, so this is for creating the Azure bolts. And then this side is the Chrono side. And then that's same thing. Skill and stuff for the Chrono stuff, and then making more bolts of the Chrono stuff. So these are probably going to be pretty important, just depending on which one's which. I don't know. This might be like the old, some of the old threads and stuff that we used to have. Like I'm thinking of like spell cloth and things of that nature. It might be just that general kind of thing. And then this is garment crafting specifically. So this is going to give you additional skill versus anything that you're going to make in this specialization. So improve at tailoring cloth armor to take the most. So any actual armor pieces you make, additional skill. This one is outerwear. So your gloves, footwear, hats, cloaks. This is your outfits, so leggings and robes. And then this is embellishments, so mantles, armbands, and belts. So you can specify and go into either one of those categories. And those are the specializations. And again, this is skill. It's probably going to go down to either, more skill for that specific item. You're probably going to gain other things. Let's see, are they all skill? Learn like the vibrant Wilder Cloth wrist wrap. So I'm guessing that's probably one of the epic. Like that's the epic piece. You want to get to this point to make that epic item. That's kind of my guess. I don't know because I haven't done it. But that's kind of my guess on like what those are. Either way. And so those are your kind of options. Crafting armor specifically, you have these specialty threads and these specialty cloths. You have spinning, weaving, and embroidery here. And then you have like your general skill actually collecting cloth, saving on the amount that you use, and inspiration. So that's what we have to work with. I've gone ahead and I've gained some skill points, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the Tailoring Mastery first, just because I want to get some general skill. Let's see, so skill, sub-choice, more skill, sub-choice, skill, and the final one is tailor 10% faster, inspiration and resourcefulness when making tailoring goods in general. So that seems pretty good. I'm just going to boost this all the way up for the 30 points, just for the additional skill, I think, for the most part. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. I do think regardless, I think every profession, this first one is going to be extremely strong just because of the amount of general skill that you get. Again, for me, I wouldn't, if it was a main character, something I played a ton of, and I was constantly out in the world killing and doing, I think at least getting this unlocked at the very minimum, I think would be fairly important. But, and you wouldn't need this many points. You would need, what, 10 points in here, and then your 11th point would go here. And that might be my general of like, hey, I'd get to that point first, and then I would consider what I want to do. But yes, I'm just for the purposes of this test and crafting, that's what I'm going to do. Now, you can't unlock these because you got to get to 50. I already started working my way towards it. It's definitely easier than jewel crafting. I'm just going to buy a couple things real quick and get up to, like, I'm going to buy a ton of these. Let's just make this quick and easy. I'm going to do this just so that I can quickly get myself up to 50 and learn a different specialization. So we made it to 50 of tailoring. We have a chance to pick another specialization. I like the idea of going the textiles to embroidery route. And the reason I like this is because I like the idea of being able to make those. Let's see, these are locked to 75. Whatever, we'll figure that out. So like, let's say I did go this route, and let's say I'm just trying to rush something specific. Let's just get that to 10. What do I need? Can I unlock this? Yes, I can. And I mostly wanted to unlock this just for the additional skill. Let's see here, inspiration, +5 when, let's go to here for the moment. +5 skill in crafting items such as polishing cloths, banners, and bags. So it looks like embroidery, it looks like this kind of stuff, and the textiles in general. That obviously includes bags. I'm a big person for crafting bags. I think a lot of people who use tailoring are even crafting bags for gold forever. And especially somebody who does it as like a secondary profession. I like just crafting bags because those are needed quite often. Granted, let's see, let's go back here and look at the bags. At least this bag is 32. A lot of people already have that already. So I don't know how good crafting bags is going to be in this expansion, at least initially. But I also haven't bought anything from the vendor or looked at any of the recipes. Let's see here. Grab these couple of items.
May the eternal sun shine.
So, let's see, no other new bag. I wonder if there is.
I have just the thing.
I wonder if there is a bag. Oh, here's some of those spell threads, though. So these are applied to leggings. Oh, like the old days. Okay. And are these bind on pickup? I don't know. I don't think so. I wouldn't think they are. What is that? That's the Azure one, right? Intellect and stamina for frozen. And where's the other one? Temporal. Intellect and mana %. Does that use Azure? Awakened air, awakened order. Awakened air, awakened frost. I don't see them. Maybe there isn't another one. Regardless, that's what those are. This is, let's see. So here's increases reagents saved from resourcefulness by 25%. So that looks like an item you can wear. This will give you recipe difficulty. See if I can't see any of these other ones that look like they're worth grabbing real quick. Not interested in crafting those yet. A couple toys. Which, I mean, if those can be sold on the auction house, then place a cooling cushion to soothe after a rough wipe. That's wonderful. All right, so this one, take a nap. Place a time traveling cushion that can be sat on and moves through time for 5 minutes. Who knows what that is? Let's go to the next page. Wielder cloth weapon upholstery. Don't know what that is. Let's grab it. Here's the 34 slot bag. That's kind of what I was looking for initially. Does it say where it comes from? Dragon Isle's Tailoring 40, but it doesn't say where you get it. The Azureweave Expedition Pack. Oh, that's a reagent. That's a slot. So that one's Azureweave specifically. This one's Chrono Weave, which makes me like the Azureweave initially more. These are more different accessories. That's what I wanted. Vibrant Polishing Cloth. This is going to increase the bonus of inspiration and give you more inspiration. I think those kind of things are going to be used pretty often. Okay, so let's learn these couple of things and take a look at them. Alright, now let's take a look at a couple things. So as I'm looking, I see that this Azureweave Expedition Pack, the 34 Slaughter, which obviously is the good one. This one does require Azureweave, so I guess if I'm going to specialize into one, I'm going to probably specialize the one that can give me normal bags. So that would be the area I go. And then as I also look, you have the Temporal. This one, for like the spell thread I'm talking about, this one gives intellect and mana by 3%. Does mana by 3%, is that good for most things at all? I think just the one that's going to be widely used, whether it's PvP or otherwise, is going to be the Frozen one, which gives intellect and stamina. This requires Azure, this requires Chrono. So here's two things that I would want to go Azureweave for sure. And then as I also look, you have, here's the Vibrant Polishing Cloth. This increases bonus skill from inspiration by 7%. So the amount that a proc would give you even more inspiration. And your general inspiration is increased by 30. When you use this, basically it can be that thing of allowing you to proc up to the next level. I do think these are going to be useful. I do. Only one spool of welder thread, which is super cheap, and then one vibrant. And if we look, the vibrant is 3 of the bolts and 1 vibrant shard. I actually don't know what the heck a vibrant shard is. I'm assuming that might be in a enchanting material. Is that over here? Maybe? Somewhere? Is there a vibrant shard anywhere? No, it definitely wouldn't be there, would it? Not there.
I have just the thing.
And those are just those.
We shall meet again.
Aha! Vibrant shard. 1 stack. Can I buy like 100 stacks or something? There we go. That's what I'm assuming that is. And welder cloth bolts. I still need a bunch of these. Let's make a bunch. But these are the ones that I'm kind of thinking. Not the bolts, excuse me. But the... Not abrasive, right? Abrasive is just to increase the likelihood of gaining a skill level. I don't care. I like this one, the one to give you an inspiration. I can see these definitely being used early on in the expansion just to allow people to proc, especially up to that, from that 2 to that 3 quality. I can see these being people just needing a lot of them. Oh, hey, look, I got an inspiration proc and hit the next tier. Let's... Oopsies, hitting all the wrong buttons. What does tier 2 give? Oh, no, that's just the bolts. Damn it. That's not what I wanted to look at. Alright, so I'm going to craft a few more of these, and we will continue on. So I went ahead and I made some of the vibrant cloth. You can see this vibrant cloth is... You know, the base one is 7, increasing the skill, the extra. So like this says additional, like when this procs, it'll give you 133 bonus skill. This increases that by 7%. That's what that means. And your general inspiration up by an additional 30, which is pretty good considering that this is at 11% right now and I have 59. So up by additional 30 is pretty good. As you go from T1 to T2, the 7 goes to 10 and the 30 goes to 40. That's pretty good. I do like that. So that's what those are, and those are used in... Do I have anything that can actually use... Let's see, nothing I have available to actually use the reagents. So I'm going to get more skill, and I think I'm going to open up the stuff for making the Azureweave stuff is what I think I'm going to do. Let's see. Yeah. I think it's locked. Wait, let's see. Azure? Yeah, this one. So I need to get to 75 real quick. Let me do that. Interesting tidbit. As I am looking at like this 384 gear, well, at least at the second quality, that's what it is. Interestingly enough, it actually does, this one even like requires the spell thread as one of the materials. So that's, I just found that interesting. It also requires the bloody wilder cloth, the Azureweave bolts, primal chaos, and then the spark of ingenuity. So these are going to be really hard to make, and they're going to be pretty expensive. At least that's the way it looks to me. So anyway, I didn't know the frozen spell thread was actually used in actually crafting as well. So that's kind of cool. Made it to 75 finally. I'm going to go ahead and unlock the Azure. I'm going to put like, I don't know, I'm going to put like 20 points in. Apply that. Unlock this one. Also going to do like 20. Gives me those Azure items. And I'll max that one, why not? Decreasing how quickly you exhaust the magic used to craft. So, to me it looks like the Azure weaving must be a daily cooldown. So now let's just see if I can find it. Azureweave bolt. Crafts available 1 of 30. I wonder why that is. Why is it 1 of 30? How do you get the ability to make more? I never paid attention. Like, is that based off of... Is that based off of the spec points? So I went ahead and I maxed out the Azureweave side just to see, and it didn't change to a number different than 30. I don't know where this crafting available comes from at all. No idea. It does say these can also be made... Oops, only made 1. Where'd it go? There we go. Azureweave bolt. So these are a daily cooldown. And I have the stuff to reduce the cooldown. And that puts this cooldown at, like, you know, as you can see here, completely maxed out. It looks like the cooldown is like 8.5 hours or so. Some of these... Which ones of these reduce the cooldown? Improve your connection. So this one, this reduces the cooldown. I don't know what the cooldown is otherwise, though. I should have probably tested that. Further improve your connection to reduce the cooldown. I'm pretty sure it's like an 18-20 hour thing, and it's just these points are going to allow you to make it more often. I should have looked before I made those, so I actually don't know. And I don't think you can't just like unlearn and look. But that's what that is. That's a new daily cooldown, or hopefully more than one time a day. I don't know why it says 1 out of 30. I don't know where that comes from. And then the other thing is, since this is a cooldown-based item, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty important to get to ASAP and just learn the ability to craft it every day. Even if you're just selling your cooldown, maybe, or just in general, you know, selling them on the auction house. As we look at some of these items, you know, like this mantle, this takes 4 Azureweave, this one takes 5, this takes 3. So they're very much going to be needed. On top of that, if you look at even the frozen spell thread, being able to make one of these, also going to require the Azureweave. So because it's a daily cooldown, it's going to limit the amount that are available, which means a couple things. As I'm finishing up here, because I don't really need to go too much further, let's now just briefly talk about my plan, maybe the options, things of that nature. I do think going the general skill point way and at least getting 1 point in the cloth collection if it's your main character and you're just getting as much cloth as possible is definitely an option. It's also pretty important in general if you're going to be crafting at all. And you should be. It's tailoring, right? I do think it is important. However, this changes things a little bit for me. I do think the Azureweave is the better overall quality over the Chrono. I don't know everything the Chrono can make, though, to be quite honest. So take that with a grain of salt. But things that I would want to craft, like this, or wherever the hell it is. Wherever the hell that spell thread is. I don't know where it went. There's so much stuff here now. There we go. Like this spell thread, and potentially even just selling it to other people to craft, like the actual items, or crafting them yourself for somebody, or I think the Azure spell thread is really, really important. I'm gonna want to get the ability to learn this ASAP, in my opinion. Like day one, I really want to get to that point so I can at least be crafting this. What do you need to do to craft that? Well, I can't go back and show you, unfortunately, but that means once you get to 25 in the specialization, you pick the Draconic Needlework first. I believe you would only need 10 points into here, right? Learn a sub-spec of your choice. Maybe you only need 1 point in here. Damn, I wish I would have paid attention to that too, because that's what it says right here. But once you get a point in here and you can go either direction, I'm getting, and these might even share cooldown together. I don't know. Maybe I can. Let's do this. Let's put 1 point in there. So 1 point in there gives you the cloth. Let's go over here and look. Where the hell did it go? No, they both have their own cooldowns. And this also says 1 of 10. The other one said 1 of 30. Oh, I think it's per point in here. Nope, still 1 of 10. Let's go look again. 1 of 10. Get to 15. 1 of 10. Pump it up to 30 now, because it's ticking me off. 1 of 10. One of 20. So is it these ones that do it? Also 1 of 20. One of 20. One of 30. Interesting. So it looks like those go up based off of like the first 5 or 10 here, and then like the rest from here on either side. And I'm confused on crafts available 1 of 30. Why does that matter? It has a daily cooldown. So when this cooldown is up, it's going to be like 1 of 29. Like I can only ever make, 30 of these. Like I don't know. I'm really confused on what the hell this means and why. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means because it already has a cooldown. So what's the point in limiting the amount? I don't know. That's when does this reset? When does it reset? That's interesting. Either way, let's not focus too heavily on that. Let's go back to talking about what I would do or what you should do and vice versa. Here are the options for tailoring, in my opinion. If you're going to be crafting and maybe you just don't even know what you're going to specialize in, getting the tailoring mastering, especially if it's like a main character, getting into the cloth collection ASAP, getting 1 point in here so that you can get this unlocked to sometimes get, so you can make more, get more things to pull cloth from. I think that's pretty good. Oh, I didn't even apply. There we go. Doing something like that's pretty good. I do also think that getting to one of these cloths or both of these cloths, especially if, again, I don't know what the 1 out of whatever means, but if they're both just on a cooldown, then getting the ability to get points into here, whether it's 1 or 10 or what, getting the ability to then craft this cloth, getting the ability to get that cloth, just so you can be using those cooldowns, because that's the most important part, is pretty important. I do think the Azure side overall is extremely important, just because it looks like the Azure bolts and the Azure thread and all that kind of stuff is going to be more widely used. So having more skill in that area, I think, is going to be very, very good. And then beyond that, if you're into bags and stuff, going the embroidery route. But again, this is kind of coupled because that really good bag, this one here, requires Azureweave. So yeah, you might want to go this and at least get the ability to make Azureweave first and then focus on the textiles and going into embroidery and going that route. Especially if you're just making all your own cloth and you can give a shit less about the quality of it, you just want to make it and pump out the bags, then at least unlocking the ability to make it first and then going this route is also very good. And then the last option, which I also think is fantastic, to be quite honest, is picking a specific thing, whether it's leggings, whether it's robes, whether it's cloaks, because we're going to be able to use the inspiration catalyst and turn things into a set item. I don't know if it's going to be worthwhile focusing on like leggings or something like that. I might focus, like if these cannot be turned into it, then I will more than likely focus on something different, like your armbands, like your belts, things of that nature, like your cloaks, because a lot of things can use cloaks, right? Cloak is probably a very, very good option because everybody uses one, so you're not limiting yourself to just cloth wearers. A cloak is a cloak, right? And because it's not a stackable good, it's for your server. So if I'm going this route, this is probably exactly what I'm starting with, just because I'm opening up my audience more. Yeah, not audience, you know what I mean. But regardless, so I like that one, and that's my personal thought on if I'm going to focus on one of these. But again, going into like the outerwear, like these are all like skill, and then they do unlock some different, like if you want to be able to add the finishing touches so that you can apply, the inspiration stuff and get your procs, like you need to be able to boom, you need to be able to race, and you need to be able to get this all the way maxed if you want to be able to do that, to allow you to make the best cloaks possible. So that kind of stuff becomes really important. And then it's like once you have that, going back, making sure that you're getting the most skill you can, things of that nature. So those are kind of your options. And if things were starting today, the route I would take would be unlocking at least my Azureweave immediately. Probably also Chrono if that's possible. Because I want to be able to just get this on cooldown. Because it's the most needed item and I'm limited by the amount I can have. I would probably push in this way. I like the idea of then going into the embroidery because these spell threads are going to be used super often as well, and that's a spot I would like to make both that and bags, and this covers both. That covers both. So going that direction, getting to the ability to make this, pushing my way into the Azureweave, going into embroidery, gaining the additional skill that direction, and then also, you know, I think weaving's very good for getting multi-craft and stuff like that on making bolts. Like, what if you can proc additional Azureweave stuff and all that kind of stuff? So there's a lot of options, I think, for the direction. And I think, you know, eventually we're going to have everything, but you're going to have to kind of pick and choose the direction you want to start first. So again, I'm going to get my cooldowns first, and then I'm probably going to go into embroidery. I'm going to have the idea of crafting the spell threads and potentially bags as like my main focus. That and the Azure bolts, the spell thread, as well as bags will be my kind of focus, and I will then probably go from there. If that's going well, I might try to increase production on that by going into weaving, by focusing more on, you know, just skill levels where I can get it, like right here. But yeah, and that's our look at tailoring. And there you have it. I'm wearing my pretty dress from all the tailoring that we were doing. That's wonderful. But anyway, I tried to make this shorter. I know it's not that much shorter. There's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to go over, and there's a lot to think about, and I think I have an easier time with tailoring over jewel crafting on making a decision in the direction I want to go. I think there's it looks to me like, if I'm thinking about a gold maker's perspective, that there's a lot of viable options to start out with, dependent on if you just want to accumulate more cloth, if you want to rush your cooldowns faster, if you want to focus on a particular piece like cloaks or wrists or belt or whatever, or if you want to focus on, you know, things that are more helpful, like the reagents used to increase inspiration, or the spell thread, or any of those. Like, I don't think there's necessarily a bad direction to go. I think it's a matter of just picking one. I again will say that I think overall, in the long run, the #1 option is going to be server specific goods. So moving yourself into a direction of making something that's not a stackable item, because this, you know, there's going to be less competition to sell it, I think is the #1 option. But I kind of have an idea of what I'm going to be doing. I'm probably going to be having wherever that loom is to make those, I'm probably going to have my tailor parked there a lot. And I hope there's a mailbox nearby, because I don't have a toy yet or anything like that to have a portable one. So that is probably my plan. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to hope that I can try to get into some more of these videos this week. I don't really know. No promises. I'm hoping that if tomorrow doesn't suck too bad, that by the time I get home from work, that maybe I can do another video. I will keep trying to make them shorter, but I've proven to myself I don't have the ability to make short videos. So with that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know what I can do better, and I will see you in the next one.